Hey everyone! Today I'm going to be showing you guys how I made a cute little My Neighbor Totoro themed mobile. Mobile? Baby mobile? Mobile? I didn't really have like a certain theme nailed down for the nursery. I just kind of put a bunch of like stuff that I thought looked cute together. And it turns out there were quite a few like Studio Ghibli themed things in there. So I thought making this for the crib would be pretty cute. So that's what I did, and that's what I'm going to show you guys how to make today. So let's get started. I used a brass hoop, felt, a needle, fabric glue, embroidery thread, polyfill, yarn, wooden beads, and paint. Here's the design that I was going for. I'm basically just going to be making little stuffed animals with felt and tying them onto the hoop. So essentially you can make whatever kind of theme you want, but for me, I'm doing My Neighbor Totoro. First, I took some of the wooden beads and painted them. I threaded them on wire to make them easier to paint and to keep them organized. And I set them aside to dry. Then I sketched out some rough patterns for the characters I wanted to include. Totoro, his ears, the mini white Totoro, a leaf, and cat bus. I cut the patterns out and proceeded to cut them out of the felt. For the body pieces, I cut 2 pieces, but for the extra bits, like the ears and arms and whatnot, I just cut 1 piece. Well, 2 technically, I guess. 1 for each side, but then I'd sandwich those pieces in between the 2 body pieces. I decided to paint the whites of the eyes for these 2 before moving on, so they would be dry by the time I got back to them. For cat bus, the brown that I used had an adhesive backing, so I used that to my advantage to keep those pieces attached. I also cut a mouthpiece bit in white and added black lines for the teeth, and I also cut some yellow for the eyes. I didn't get any pink because I literally only needed it for the nose, so I just cut out a nose in brown and painted it pink. I also cut the windows on the body piece and cut some yellow to back it to make the windows. Then I cut a couple leaves. To keep all of the extra bits in place, I glued them in place with fabric glue. And then I added pupils to the eyes with black puffy paint. While all of these pieces dried, I worked on the big leaf that I wanted on the top. I cut the big leaf piece, 2 pieces, and a piece for the stem. I glued the stem in half to give it a bit of structure, using binder clips to hold it in half and kind of give it a curve while it dried, and then I set that aside. I took the leaf pieces and started sewing on some yarn to make the veins of the leaf and to sew them together. I also took some darker embroidery thread and stitched around the edge, attaching the stem piece and embroidering down the edge of that as well. My camera died, so I didn't get any of that footage, but when I moved on to the smaller leaves, I totally forgot that I didn't have the footage from the big leaf, so I skipped straight to the smaller leaves being done. I basically just did the same thing as the big leaf, but without stems. And to give the leaves some shape on the stem end, I folded the leaf in half and did a stitch or 2 so that one side would stay folded a bit. Using matching embroidery thread, I stitched up the rest of the characters, stuffing them with a bit of polyfill before closing them up. For the characters that had the extra bits, even though they were glued on, I still stitched them on to secure them some more, but also to give it a more finished look. I also made a couple pom-poms out of black yarn and added eyes to make some soot sprites. So here are all of the pieces, ready to go. I cut 4 pieces of string, pretty long, probably about 3 foot each, and then I folded these in half and then threaded the folded end through a wooden bead. To help get these through, I taped the string to make a sort of aglet thing, like the plastic or metal bit that's at the end of your shoelace. Once through, I cut the tape off and pulled the string back until there was only about an inch of string left on the looped side. Throughout the rest of this project, I made sure not to pull this back through. And actually, As I'm recording this audio, I'm realizing that I could have just tied a knot, but whatever. This loop is how I'm going to be hanging this thing. Later, I ended up tying some scrap string to really make sure that it wouldn't accidentally get pulled through. But again, like I said, I could have just tied a knot. I don't know what I was thinking. Anyway, I cut a hole in the middle of the big leaf and threaded the string through, and then I threaded 2 colorful beads on. The easiest way I found to do this was to individually thread each string through instead of trying to stick them all together at once. From the bottom of the last bead, I measured down about 5 inches and marked each string. Then I tied 7 of the strings onto the hoop at each mark, adding a dot of fabric glue onto the knot to secure it. I kept 1 string untied for it to hang down the middle. I spread the 7 strings around the hoop as equal as I could by eye, and then I hung it up to tie all of the characters on. And basically, I just tied them on to be exactly like the sketch that I did. Now, I do wish that I had strayed slightly from my sketch a little bit because I didn't account for the weight difference on some of these and how it would affect how this thing hangs. Catbus was definitely the most heavy character, and on the opposite side, I tied on the mini Totoro, which was probably the lightest character, so there was a definite tilt when I finished tying them all on. To try to fix the weight difference, I tried adding a couple more beads underneath mini Totoro, but that wasn't enough to make it totally level. So I'm not sure if I'll try anything else to fix the weight, but maybe. I don't know. I'm sure if I do, then it'll be up on my Instagram or something. And now it's done. All I need to do is go hang it above her crib. Or actually, I'm probably going to hang it above her changing table at first. Hopefully, it can distract her long enough while I'm trying to change her diaper. I believe that the standard is to hang it at least 16 inches above the mattress or the changing table or whatever you're going to hang it over so that the baby can't reach and grab at all the little hanging bits because then they can pull it down and then that's not safe. So yeah. I hope you guys enjoyed today's video. If you did, please leave a like, subscribe, hit that notification bell, all of that good stuff. If you want to be featured in a future video, then use the hashtag CheslinDIY on Instagram or Twitter so I can see what you make. If you want to follow me on any of my social media, the links to those will be down below. If you have any questions or suggestions for future videos, please leave a comment down below, and I'll see you next week. Thank you so much to my patrons for helping me produce this video. If you like my videos and have learned something from them, please consider supporting me on Patreon to help me continue to make them. It's totally optional. I'll still be making videos either way. It just helps me be able to put out better stuff. A link will be down below, or you can just click up here in the corner.